to join the Fever and something. What's special about this opportunity for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm really excited. I had some stint there at Golden State and it was a great time. So yeah, went over, played with Australia, won a gold there and that was great. So just to be back in the W and have another crack is really exciting. Really grateful for this opportunity here with the Fever and just excited.
Not long after she lit them up with clutch threes, the Indiana Fever made a bold move, reaching out to a player who was literally on the other side of the globe in China. With Caitlin Clark out due to injury and their championship hopes slipping away, they brought in their former nemesis, Bibby, on a high-stakes 7-day deal. But this wasn't just a quick fix or a panic signing. This was a strategic risk, one that hints at a hidden plan to finally address the team's biggest weakness. And if it works, this move might be the turning point that shifts everything. Even crazier. The backstory behind how it all came together is wilder than you'd expect.
Big news, breaking news, Bibby, who was recently on the Golden State Valkyries, has been signed to the Indiana Fever. This is not a huge surprise to me. I have mentioned it in multiple videos. She was doing really well with the Valkyries. I think she was only with them for about 5 games, while a lot of their players went over to Eurobasket.
This story doesn't start in Indianapolis. It begins thousands of miles away, inside a hotel room in China. That's where Australian forward Bibby was navigating the unpredictable grind of life as an overseas pro when she got the call that would flip everything on its head.
The main thing I remember about Chloe was the fact that she could shoot, right? That's the main thing I remember about her. Watching her games with the Valkyries, if y'all don't remember that, she was on the Valkyries. I think she played for the preseason and she got signed again, then played like 5 games. She finished with like 42% shooting from the 3. So she could hit, man. She could really hit.
Bibby, the newest member of the Indiana Fever, her fit and whether she's a long-term fit for the Fever remains to be seen. But on the surface, on paper, it makes a lot of sense. Because this is a team that has been in dire need of, in my opinion, of a stretch 4. And that is what Bibby, skill set wise, is capable of doing. We don't have a huge sample size to work with. Obviously, she had a short spurt with the Valkyrie.
One moment, she was juggling life overseas, adjusting to jet lag, new cultures, and unfamiliar courts. The next, she was called up to join the most watched, most talked about team in the entire WNBA. There was no time to think it through, no chance to head home to Australia for even a breather. She dropped everything, grabbed the earliest flight she could find, and began a brutal trek to the US, a chaotic blur of airports, time zones, and pure adrenaline. Making that kind of leap on a last-minute 7-day deal? That's almost unheard of. It shows the kind of grit and drive the Fever have been missing. This is someone who's been grinding her whole career for an opportunity like this. And make no mistake, this wasn't some random roster fill-in. The Fever already knew what she could do, because they had experienced it the hard way.
But I remember specifically her shooting. She was shooting that thing, man. She was stretching the floor, and the Indiana Fever needs that. They need somebody that can help stretch that floor, make it more dangerous at that perimeter, make the defense respect that perimeter just as much as they respect the paint presence, right? So she can help with that.
There were a lot of fans where the Fever are too slow. They want to play slow it down, grind it out basketball. Doesn't seem that way. Doesn't seem that way by the player they just signed and the messaging that is going across there. So that has to be reassuring for a lot of the fans. And Bibby seems to have a good head on her shoulders, a good attitude, and a good approach.
Just weeks before that life-changing phone call, Bibby gave the Indiana Fever a tryout they didn't even realize was happening. Suiting up for the Golden State Valkyries on a short-term hardship deal, she hit the floor against the very team that would later come calling. And she lit them up. In just 24 minutes, she put up 12 points and nailed clutch threes, all with the poise of a seasoned vet. She wasn't just another opponent, she was showing them, in real time, exactly what they were missing. It was a gutsy, standout performance that made everyone watching sit up and think, why isn't she wearing our jersey? Scoring was one thing. But what she brought, specifically the kind of lethal shooting the Fever had been lacking, made her impossible to ignore. She wasn't just playing to help the Valkyries. Without knowing it, she was auditioning for her future in Indianapolis.
Brianna Turner is over there collecting dust. We need somebody off the bench that can come in with some size and rain threes until Damaris Dantis' shot begins to fall, and we go out and we get one. Chloe Bibby. Last time we saw Chloe Bibby, she dropped 12 points against the Indiana Fever. Wait for it, in her WNBA debut. She shoots over 40% from the field. She shoots over 40% from three.
With all these wave players, I kept saying there was one player that the Indiana Fever needed to sign, and today it happened. That's right, the Indiana Fever have officially signed Chloe Bibby. She showed up and showed out with all the teams that she was with in the preseason, especially with the Valkyries. And I kept saying she could spread the floor. She makes the three. She would be a perfect pickup for the Indiana Fever, except they took forever to sign her. So I was like, maybe they're not going to sign her.
The Indiana Fever's offense has been suffering from a glaring weakness, one that every team in the league has been quick to take advantage of. With Aaliyah Boston owning the paint, defenses just pack it in, crowding the lane and choking the life out of their interior game. What they've desperately needed is a true stretch four, someone who can knock down shots from beyond the arc and force defenders to spread out, giving the rest of the team room to breathe. That's exactly where Chloe Bibby fits in. During her short run with the Valkyries, she shot a ridiculous 42.1% from three. That's not just solid, that's elite. Her outside shooting could be the spark that unlocks everything, freeing up Boston inside, giving Caitlin Clark more space to attack, and turning a one-dimensional offense into something far more dangerous. And while her WNBA numbers already look strong for the few minutes she's played, they don't tell the full story. To really see why this signing could shift the entire trajectory of the team, you have to look at what she was doing when no one in the US was watching.
Bag and go.
Well, yeah, I was already in, so I went from San Francisco to China, and so then I didn't really get to go back to Australia. So just from China, I was like, well, I already have some stuff back, so then just come back over here, back to America. So yeah, it was good. It all happened pretty fast, but as I said, super grateful for the opportunity.
Does it still feel chaotic now that you've been with the team for a day, or do you feel like a little bit settled now?
I feel a little bit settled. I have had a lot of sleep, which is great, so I think I've got over the jet lag a little bit, so feeling good.
You had the chance to go and play against this Fever team.
Yeah.
What kind of your impressions then, and how do you feel like you can fit into what they do?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, really physical team, tough, fast-paced, and I like that fast, style. So I think that suits me a lot.
Before making her WNBA comeback, Chloe Bibby was quietly stacking up an international resume that most fans in the US had no clue about. While her name might have flown under the radar stateside, overseas she was making serious noise. In Poland's top league with Gorów Vaporski, she wasn't just contributing, she was the MVP, averaging an eye-popping 20.9 points and 5.9 boards a game. And when she stepped onto the Euro Cup stage to face Europe's elite, her numbers only got better: 22 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 2.2 steals per game. Those aren't just good stats, they're superstar stats. The kind that show she wasn't just waiting around for a call-up, she was already leading teams, carrying offenses, and proving she could be the go-to player. But here's the twist: putting up monster numbers overseas is one thing. Fitting into a roster led by a generational star like Caitlin Clark? That takes a completely different mindset. And that's where this signing gets really interesting.
I mean, it's a challenge always, anytime you're integrating, but I think at the position that she'll play for us, really being somebody that's in that stretch four, middle of the floor, there's not a lot of nuance to how we'll use her. We'll shorten the playbook a little bit, make it specific to ways that we can continue to stretch the floor when we put her on the floor with AB.
Today you had a rare practice.
So, that is pretty straightforward and simple from head coach Stephanie White. When you hear her say she'll fit in next to AB, which means it seems like the plan for Bibby is to play in Aaliyah Boston minutes, where of course Aaliyah Boston is playing a lot of minutes on the floor.
This signing comes at a time when the Fever are surrounded by uncertainty and swirling speculation. Caitlin Clark is out with a lingering groin injury, creating a massive gap in the lineup and piling pressure on the rest of the squad. Meanwhile, veteran forward and former All-Star Brianna Turner has been oddly glued to the bench, raising eyebrows and fueling questions about what's really going on behind the scenes. And into that storm steps Chloe Bibby, brought in on a short-term 7-day hardship deal, a contract that makes her future anything but guaranteed. Is she just a temporary fix while Clark recovers? Or is this a high-stakes audition for a long-term role, one that could shake up the rotation and possibly edge someone else out? Every minute BBY gets on the floor will be watched closely. But Coach Stephanie White isn't leaving her role up to chance. She has a clear, focused, and surprisingly straightforward plan for how to bring her in.
Because I truly didn't see like who could fit the Indiana Fever system that was available that hasn't already been taken by other teams. It did end up being kind of like the obvious answer, which is Chloe Bibby, who again, I think is a good signing. I don't think is going to change the landscape of the Indiana Fever basketball. I do like that she's young. I do like that she has young legs. I love that she does fit into a more like modern style of basketball, 6 foot, plays outside of the arc. So I am very, 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 very curious to see how she does fit into the...
What makes this new partnership even more intriguing is the overlooked history these two players share. Long before they became WNBA teammates, Caitlin Clark and Chloe BBY were locked in a heated rivalry. Back in their college days, Clark's Iowa Hawkeyes and BBY's Maryland Terrapins went head-to-head in the pressure cooker of Big Ten basketball. They battled through hard-fought matchups, each trying to outshine the other in front of packed arenas. That past adds a fascinating twist to their current alliance. BBY isn't fazed by Clark's star power. She's faced it before and knows exactly what kind of intensity it takes to rise to that level. Now, that old rivalry has flipped into a powerful partnership, with two fierce competitors uniting around one shared mission, bringing a WNBA title to Indiana. From college adversaries to pro teammates, their journeys have collided again, right when the Fever need them most.
A lot of people are already speculating this is because of the Caitlin Clark injury. However, remember, after the All-Star break, they do have some more cap space, so they could sign her to a rest of the year contract. I'm guessing what's happening is, one, when she was cut from the Valkyries after her hardship contract, but had some really good games and showed some really good positive things that like any team would want. I'm actually surprised she hasn't gotten picked up. So my guess is that they think they want to sign her for the rest of the year. Whether that means Caitlin's out or they just want a 12th person. They're using this 7-day contract as a test to see how she does. They've got a couple of games coming up. We know Caitlin's out, at least she was out last night, probably still out for the weekend. We don't know a timeline on her return.
Stats and college rivalries are one thing, but having a championship mindset? That's an entirely different level. It's not something you can teach. It's something earned, forged through years of high-stakes battles and pressure-packed moments. And that's where Chloe BBY truly sets herself apart. For years, she's been a core part of the Australian national team, the Opals, representing her country on some of the biggest stages in the world. She played a crucial role in helping Australia capture gold at the FIBA Women's Asia Cup and bronze at the World Cup. But this isn't just about putting up numbers, it's about delivering when the lights are brightest. She knows what it takes to win when everything's on the line. She's lived the grind, embraced the pressure, and come through in must-win situations. For a young Indiana Fever squad still learning how to close out tight games, BBY brings exactly what they've been missing: championship DNA and a steady, veteran presence that doesn't flinch when the moment gets big.
If there's somebody and Stephanie White's looking, Chloe Bibby get in there way before Brianna Turner. I think Turner's still going to be collecting dust. Why we kept her on this team? The optics. Organization can't handle the pushback after releasing Brianna Turner. We got to suck it up. We got to grind it out. We got to let her collect her paycheck and collect that dust. We got to have her keep the bench warm. Dantis's threes aren't hitting. Chloe Bibby, not as tall as Dantis, but if we run a small ball lineup with Natasha Howard at the 5, maybe we do have Chloe Bibby in there. With Michaela Timpson at the 5. Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can have Timpson get some more minutes, giving her the 5. Chloe Bibby in there, Sophie Cunningham in there, Lexi Hull or Kelsey Mitchell in there, with Ari McDonald in.
Bibby's value goes far beyond her mindset or her shooting touch. Standing at 6 feet 2 inches, she brings the kind of versatility that turns her into a tactical Swiss Army knife for Coach Stephanie White. She's not just a shooter, she's a flexible weapon who can slot into different lineups and create matchup nightmares for opposing defenses. In a traditional setup, she pairs beautifully with Aaliyah Boston, stretching the floor and pulling defenders out of the paint. But in a more modern, fast-paced lineup, she can shift into a small ball role, possibly alongside Natasha Howard or even Michaela at the 5. That kind of spacing, with multiple shooters on the floor, could make Indiana's offense dynamic, unpredictable, and nearly unguardable. Her adaptability gives the Fever a crucial edge, the ability to adjust on the fly, a must-have trait for any team hoping to make a deep playoff run. At its core, this signing isn't just about plugging a gap, it's about redefining what's possible. Chloe Bibby is a potential game-changer. She's the international MVP with a hidden resume, the sniper who made her case by beating the Fever themselves, and the relentless pro who crossed the globe for a shot at a 7-day deal. She brings the exact skills they've been missing, the veteran poise they've lacked, and a quiet determination to prove she belongs at the highest level. With Clark as the superstar and Boston as the anchor, BBY could be the final, overlooked piece of Indiana's championship puzzle. But the real question is this the move that finally pushes the Fever to the top, or just one last swing before the window starts to close? Either way, the entire basketball world is watching.